Gulf of Mexico oil spill could last a very long time. The Coast Guard commander in charge of the federal response to the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico warned on Sunday that even if the flow of crude oil was stopped by summer, it could take well into autumn, and maybe much longer, to deal with the oil slick spreading relentlessly across the Gulf. The assessment came as the sheer volume of oil gushing from the out-of-control well forced BP to temporarily halt its attempts to close all 4 vents on a capping device designed to capture some of the oil. But even with 3 vents still open, the cap was capturing so much oil, more than 10,000 barrels a day, that the company did not even have adequate equipment at hand to process any more. The well, like a raging undersea beast, has continued to stymie BP and government officials. One technician, amazed at the great power of the oil gushing from its depths, called it one hell of a well. Admiral Thad W. Allen, the Coast Guard commander, said on Face the Nation on CBS that BP officials were working to secure the cap over the wellhead and to theoretically gradually increase the amount of oil recovered. But what good will it do if they don't even have adequate equipment at hand to process anymore? He also said the only solution to the problem would be the successful completion of relief wells to finally stop the flow from the bottom of the 18,000-foot deep well, a job that will not be completed until August at the earliest. That is, if all goes well. And of course, this is now the hurricane season. The oil spill will not be contained until that happens, Admiral Allen said. But even after that, there will be oil out there for months to come. Perhaps, yes, years even. This will be well into the fall. He also added, this is a siege across the entire Gulf. This oil spill is holding everybody hostage, not only economically, but physically. Officials said Sunday that they were collecting more than 10,000 barrels a day from the well, but it was impossible to gauge what fraction of the total flow that represented. A federal panel has estimated that at least 12,000 to 25,000 barrels a day is flowing from the well, but those calculations were made before BP cut the riser pipe last week to accommodate the capping device, which administration officials have said could increase the flow rate by 20% or more. So in other words, by not telling the whole truth, they are still lying. There is still a huge amount of oil gushing from the well. The area of Gulf shoreline potentially affected by the spill has continued to grow, extending from central Louisiana to Port St. Joe in the middle of the Florida Panhandle, a 400-mile front in a widening sea, air, and land war. Admiral Allen, who appeared on 4 television programs on Sunday morning to discuss the disaster, said he was fighting the oil and the elements with a flotilla of skimmers and boom-laying boats to try to keep the oil from making landfall. The problem we have, this is not a large monolithic spill anymore, he said on Fox News Sunday. It is an aggregation of thousands of smaller spills that could come ashore at any particular time based on wind and current. It was too early to judge the degree of success of BP's latest maneuver to control the leak, although company officials continued to express optimism that the containment cap could eventually collect more of the oil. But again, they're not really telling the whole truth here. The oil well is gushing out a huge amount of oil, more than it was before. After 2 days of trying to gradually close the 4 vents on the capping device, engineers on Sunday decided to keep some open when they realized that more oil was being captured than could be processed on a drill ship floating in the Gulf above. In a statement late Sunday, the company said it may leave some of the valves open to ensure system stability. Engineers had feared that the volume and velocity of oil escaping might create so much friction on the new pipe that it might force it entirely off the cap. All day Saturday, they worked to shut 2 of the vents, and they spent the afternoon measuring the results, mindful that if they closed the vents too quickly, water could rush in and form the kind of icy hydrates that doomed a previous containment effort. But while the cap remained in place for now, and there were no signs of significant hydrate formation, by nightfall Saturday the engineers suddenly were forced to deal with another problem. The Discoverer Enterprise drill ship can only handle 15,000 barrels a day, and the capping device was trapping almost that amount without the vents shut. So again, in other words, the amount of oil gushing from the well is much higher than they say. "We're maxed out," said the technician who was working on the operation. He said the capping device was capturing 10 to 15,000 barrels a day. "There's no chance to close the vents when you are at maximum production," he said. "You wish desperately you could capture it all, but it depends on the volume coming out of the well. You know how people are arguing about that." And yes, these are more signs. There's something much bigger going on here. Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 19. "And will ye pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley, pieces of bread, or money, to slay the souls that should not die, and to save the souls alive that should not live, by your lying to my people that hear your lies?" 20. "Wherefore, thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against your pillows, wherewith ye there hunt the souls to make them fly. And I will tear them from your arms, and will let the souls go, even the souls that you hunt to make them fly." And yes, this rolling disaster will be continuing or going on for a very long time, because these are more signs of end times. Transition days. There is a continuing transition happening all around the world, day by day. And Revelation chapter 10, verse 5. "And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, and swore by him that lives forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer." 7. "But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he has declared to his servants the prophets." And there are many different kinds of signs happening daily all around the world. Everything that must change for the better, and quickly or rapidly.